And if this love for the visitor and for the traveler is a religion, then let me be a Muslim, subhanallah. But it took 2 years for me to take my shahada. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how long it takes for us to be humbled and for our hearts to be cleansed of some of the things that we have in them.
Adik ipar perempuan mantan Perdana Menteri Inggris Tony Blair, Lauren Booth, memutuskan masuk Islam setelah mendapatkan pengalaman suci di Palestina. Penyiar dan jurnalis berusia 54 tahun itu sekarang berjilbab ketika keluar rumah, sholat 5 waktu sehari, dan mengunjungi masjid bila ada kesempatan. Sekarang saya tidak makan daging babi dan saya membaca Al-Quran setiap hari, ujarnya. Hal yang aneh, katanya, bahwa sejak memutuskan pindah agama, ia sama sekali tidak ingin menyentuh alkohol. Padahal saya dulu seorang yang mendambakan segelas atau 2 gelas anggur di akhir hari, katanya. Sebelum mendapat pencerahan di Palestina, Lauren telah bersimpati pada Islam dan menghabiskan banyak waktu untuk bekerja di Palestina. Saya selalu terkesan dengan kekuatan dan kenyamanan yang diberikan, katanya soal Palestina. Pada Agustus 2008, ia pergi ke Gaza dengan kapal dari Siprus bersama 46 aktivis lainnya untuk menyoroti blokade Israel atas Gaza. Pengalaman berkunjung ke Palestina itu ia tulis di sebuah media di Inggris. Berikut cuplikannya.
What the Israelis call their border or the buffer zone, and I've just been hearing about the amount of bombs that have fallen in this area here. Obliterated the houses on my right, which have been rebuilt and bombed and rebuilt several times. And the poverty is grinding in Bayat Hanun, and they never get peace. They never have ease in themselves. And I was hearing that the Israeli soldiers came charging over here in 2009, running and just opening fire.
Ketika tiba di sebuah perkampungan Palestina, ia mengetuk pintu salah satu rumah warga. Pintu pun terbuka. Seorang ibu keluar dengan wajah berseri-seri. "Assalamualaikum, silakan masuk," ucap sang ibu dengan penuh kehangatan. Wajah ibu itu berseri, matanya bersinar. Ia mempersilahkan saya masuk ke rumahnya seperti mempersilahkan saya masuk istana Taj Mahal. Seakan-akan rumahnya adalah tempat terindah di dunia. Saya perhatikan rumah itu dengan seksama. Hanya dinding, atap, dan tikar terhampar. Satu tikar untuk tidur dan sholat, satu tikar lagi untuk hidangan makanan. Tidak ada apa-apa selain itu. Lemari, kursi, apalagi televisi. Tidak ada. Tapi ungkapan wajah dan bahasa tubuhnya seperti orang yang sangat berbahagia. Saya tak habis pikir. Kami pun duduk di tikar. Lalu ibu tersebut menyodorkan makanan yang hanya terdiri dari roti, bumbu, dan selada. Melihat menu prihatin itu, saya berulang-ulang menolak tawaran makan itu. Bukan tidak suka, tapi bagaimana mungkin saya memakan makanan orang miskin? Saya berpikir mungkin hanya itu makanan yang dimiliki ibu tersebut. Tapi ibu itu terus menyodorkan makanan. "Anda tamu kami," katanya. Akhirnya, untuk sekadar menghargai, saya memakan satu roti sembari mengajak makan bersama. Akan tetapi, ia menolak karena sedang berpuasa. Saya merasa marah kepada ia. Sudah prihatin, ada makanan malah menahan makan, kata saya kesal dalam hati. Saya marah kepada Islam yang mengharuskan orang berlapar-lapar selama 30 hari. Saya juga marah kepada Al-Quran yang mewajibkan ia menahan lapar dan dahaga padahal mereka butuh makanan. Saya jengkel, maka saya pun bertanya, mengapa ibu puasa? Untuk apa? Kami berpuasa sebagai rasa syukur kami kepada Allah, karena bisa merasakan apa yang dialami saudara-saudara kami yang miskin. Jawabnya dengan wajah yang begitu ramah. Mendengar jawaban itu, saya tak kuasa membendung air mata. Ia tak punya apa-apa di dunia. Ia masih bersyukur dan berbagi rasa dengan orang yang lebih malang dari dirinya. Saat itu juga saya berkata dalam hati, jika ini Islam, saya ingin menjadi Muslim. Tahun 2010, Lauren muncul di saluran TV Islam dalam acara Global Peace and Unity, mengenakan busana muslimah dan berkata, "My name is Lauren Booth and I am a Muslim." Menjadi Muslim, Lauren merasa lebih tenang. Menjadi Muslim merupakan suatu kedamaian, ujarnya. Lauren mengaku dibesarkan oleh orang tua yang tak religius di London Utara. Ayah saya, aktor Tony Booth, membagi waktunya antara bandar judi dan pub, kata perempuan kelahiran 1967 itu. Tony Booth dikenal karena perannya dalam Till Death Do Us Part. Ia merupakan ayah dari Cherry Blair, istri mantan Perdana Menteri Inggris Tony Blair. Sedangkan ibunya, Lauren, menyebutnya sebagai wanita yang lebih percaya tahayul. Misalnya, meletakkan benda tertentu di tempat tidur untuk mengusir setan. Pada saat kecil, saya ingat suka berdoa kepada Tuhan. Saat teman-teman bermain ketika istirahat, saya justru membaca Alkitab. Katanya, ketika anaknya bertanya, apakah setelah menjadi Muslim, ia akan tetap menjadi ibu bagi mereka, ia menjawab, "Tentu saya menjadi ibu yang baik bagi mereka," ujar Lauren. Kedua anaknya mengikuti jejak Lauren. Saya berusaha memberikan contoh, tidak menggurui mereka, katanya. Menurut Lauren, makin banyak umat Islam di Inggris merupakan pertanda baik bagi negara tersebut. Ia mencontohkan diri sendiri, yang sejak memeluk Islam menjadi pekerja yang lebih baik dan menjadi ibu yang lebih baik untuk kedua putrinya. Semoga harapan Lauren terwujud. Amin.
And I was about to leave, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that as a foreigner, I had a chance to get through in 3 hours. And I realized that I'd need a taxi at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I spoke to you earlier about dower. Listen to this. I looked in my bag and I thought, how am I going to get a taxi from Erez in Israel to Jerusalem? I'm going to be stuck. I looked in my bag because I keep cards when I travel. And the card said, Jamal, taxi driver, Al-Quds. I thought, brilliant. I'll call him. There's no way that he'll come all the way from Jerusalem to Gaza to the Erez crossing, but still he might know another taxi driver and he won't remember me, but he seemed like a nice guy. This is the conversation. Hello? Is that Jimmy Jamal? Is that Lauren Booth? The Son of Allah has arisen again over our blessed land. My wife will stop crying, my children will eat again. Allahu Akbar, welcome back to your home, we have missed you. Subhanallah, one taxi drive? The love these people give. The love of the language of Arabic that we've been given. The love of the language of Urdu. Wrong accent. These are beautiful when you translate the words directly into our rather clunky Anglo-Saxon. It touches our heart, and they're a gift you've been given, you know. And you forget about it and try to make everything sound, you know, as Western as possible, and it's very harsh. I said to Jimmy Jamal, I'm going to be at the checkpoint at 1 o'clock. Will you be able to meet me? He said, no problem. But that's not what happened, brothers and sisters. At 10 o'clock in the morning at the Erez checkpoint, I was with World Health Organization workers, members of the UN, members of the general public in Palestine, some ministers from the Fatah government, the minister for airlines. I wonder if that was a made-up job, thinking about it. The Israelis kept us waiting. Around 5 o'clock, everybody was allowed through the checkpoint from hell, myself included. My phone was dead, of course, and I booked the taxi at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I found myself standing in kind of a big industrial zone in the middle of Israel, in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, what am I going to do now? And then a car came quickly towards me, reversing with a screech of tires. And I thought, okay, what now? A door flew open. And Jimmy Jamal said, Salam alaikum. You ordered a taxi? I was confused. I said, yes, I ordered a taxi, but for 1 o'clock, 5 hours ago. He said, yes, I waited. I said, I'm sorry. You waited 5 hours? He said, of course. I said, why? He said, because I'm Muslim. And a Muslim would never leave a woman on her own and at risk. I got into his car and I started to cry. And it was one of those big cries that you do that you don't want men to see, the ones that go, and they're not at all like the soap operas with just a tear. They're sort of snot and... Now, being an Arab, of course, he was very, very sympathetic. He said, stop crying, you're hysterical, I'll have to take you to hospital. But I couldn't stop crying. You're so nice and they're so horrible and it's so wrong. In the end, he wouldn't let me stay in the hotel that I had booked. I went and stayed with his wife in their house. I've been their guest ever since on my journeys. May Allah bless them. Now, the reason I tell you that story is because it leads in to something very significant. The next day, I had 40 minutes, a window to do my souvenir shopping. Can I just ask, are you waiting there to pass me something? How long? Alhamdulillah, I can do it, inshallah. 14, inshallah. The next day, I had 40 minutes to do all of my souvenir shopping, and I was going into the old city of Jerusalem. I was dropped off in Jamal's taxi and told, be back on time. You have to be back early, because you're going to get interrogated at the airport. I was in a bad mood, not looking forward to interrogation. It was raining. I was looking at my list, rather grumpy. I wasn't even noticing that I was on the same streets that Umar ibn Khattab will have walked and Isa alayhi salam will have walked. I didn't care about that. I had shopping to do. A young man came up to me and he said, Marhaba! So full of joy and energy, you've never seen anything like. The youth, the Palestinian youth, the shabab, telling you. I wasn't in the mood. Yeah, okay. A voice in my head said, don't you dare, do not dare to be rude to a Palestinian in their own land when they have been so loving to you. Turn around and be nice to this young man. Marhaba, I said. He said, what can I do for you? I said, look, I've got some shopping to do. He said, this is amazing. All of the men in the souk are my uncles. We'll go shopping together. I gave in, and I gave him my list. Now, the list was mostly things that Europeans look for when we go to the Middle East. So, for example, I wanted 2 stuffed toy camels for my daughters. I didn't know that Palestine wasn't a desert even then. It's a beautiful place. Of course, it's green, but you want there to be camels, right? There are some camels. Yeah, there are camels. And my husband at the time had wanted a ceremonial Arabic knife. Somebody had asked for a mother-of-pearl portrait of Yasser Arafat. They were quite complicated things. And at the bottom of my list, with a big question mark, was a Quran in English. Why the question mark? Because I didn't think there was such a thing as a Quran in English. I still thought that it was just a small group of people in Palestine and some Pakistani people in Britain, and they were about it. So why would anybody put this small desert faith into English language? Subhanallah. But I did want to read it. And I wanted to read it because in every home that I had gone into, especially in Palestine, but not only in Palestine, the people had been so good and so kind to the visitor that I thought that this book, the Quran, must be a handbook for being a good person. And it is. And I knew that I needed to be a better person, and I wanted to read it for myself. We went into all of the shops along the old Arab quarter of Al-Quds. And in every shop we had a cup of mint tea with 10 sugars in. 10 shops, 10 sugars, 100 sugars in 1 hour. No wonder people have diabetes, wallahi. But I got everything and much, much more. They just keep loading the bags up. And before I tell you what happened next, I want you to know something, that the Arab vendors in Al-Quds are very poor now. They really struggle, because when you go to Tel Aviv airport, and we're talking a lot about boycott these days, when you go to Tel Aviv airport as a foreign visitor, you will be told, don't buy anything off the Arabs, it's probably a bomb. Even if it looks like a cuddly toy, they might be hiding poison in it. So nobody buys off the Arabs anymore. Very few people. And it's hard to make a living. And I had bags and bags and bags of things that I grabbed and they'd put in bags. And I turned to this young man whose name I don't know, because I only saw him that one day and I've never seen him again. I said to him, how much do I owe you? And he said, you don't owe me anything. Just one thing, when you go, please don't forget all of us in Palestine. Subhanallah, that's how I got my first ever copy of the Quran. As a gift from the people of Palestine to someone who came in peace. Subhanallah. In 2008, I got an email that would change my life again. And brothers and sisters, when Allah has a plan for you, you can go to the left or the right, but you will go in the direction written for you. And all of us have a direction. And all of us get reminders every day from Allah to come back to Him. Is it a good deed that we ignore? Is it some litter we walk past? Is it something friendly we could do? Allah is calling us to good deeds and we ignore them. This one said, would you like to go to Gaza by boat? Call this number. I shouldn't have called the number. I had 2 children and a husband, and really it was a mission that could end in death. Going to Gaza by boat? Nobody can do that. There's a siege. There's the Israeli Navy there. I called the number. And the voice on the other end of the phone said, hello, this is Osama. I thought, no way. Because honestly, Western people think there's only one Osama in the world. It didn't occur to me there was somebody else called Osama. Anyway, it was a different Osama. So anybody from the authorities here, different Osama. I went to my editor and I said, I want to go to Gaza by boat. He said, here's a check, go for 2 weeks. I thought, is he just trying to get rid of me? And in August, actually in July 2008, I flew to Cyprus and I joined 45 other non-Muslims from around the world to get onto 2 boats full of food and hearing aids for children to try and break the siege of Gaza. All we wanted to do was get the world to look at the suffering there, what it was like under siege. That was our only thing to do, just to get people to look. It took 36 hours and the boat went like this the whole way. Everybody was sick. Alhamdulillah, except for me. I don't know why that was. I think I was too busy making cups of tea. Even our captain was sick. He was lying on the ground saying, "I wish I was dead," which is not a good sign when you're about to go and meet the Israeli Navy. They never turned up. I think they thought we were going to sink by ourselves. And on August the 23rd, 2008, there in the distance was Gaza, beautiful Gaza. We'd made it. And as we got closer, I started to see dots on the beach, and I couldn't make out what they are. And you can look this up. Put into Google "Free Gaza" photos, and you'll see us going like this. And when we got closer, we realized the dots were people. 30,000 Palestinians from Gaza had come to cheer the crazy foreigners in who'd risked their lives in solidarity. And when we got closer and closer, a sound hit us, which I will never forget because it was so sweet. And the sound was, "Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar." And it came over us and washed over us. I was supposed to leave 5 days later, but I didn't want to be a grief tourist. It didn't feel right. And my feet felt as if they were glued to the sand of Gaza. And I waved off the Free Gaza, my only way back to my children. And Greta Berlin said to me, "Why aren't you getting on the boat?" I said, "I can't." And do you know what month of the year it was, brothers and sisters? What month of the year it was? Ramadan. I'm really going to struggle with this now. Bismillah. Sorry, it's just difficult with what's going on at the moment. Alhamdulillah. So, I was there for the whole of Ramadan as a non-believer in 2008. I had my arms showing, my hair was out, my sense of modesty wasn't exactly what we might appreciate. But did I hear haram, haram from the people in Gaza? Not once. As I walked the streets in Ramadan with my arms and my hair showing, all I heard was salam, salam, salam. One night, I was visiting a very poor family. In a place called Rafah, which pretty much doesn't exist anymore. And Rafah is also the place where Faris Odeh came from, remember? 8 years after seeing that photo of that young boy, I was in the story, I was in the TV set, and none of it had been my planning. And this night I knocked on a very poor door in a pathetic, rundown refugee camp, and the lady opened it like this: "Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, fadalu." Welcome. She welcomed me as if she lived in the Taj Mahal, not in a slum. And her face was so bright, and I wonder if she's alive and okay now. Her face was so bright, and I know now the word for it is nur. Her face was full of nur. And I went into her home, and what was her home, brothers and sisters? One single cement room, cement floor, cement walls, and nothing in it at all. Nothing but some old mattresses that she, her husband, his parents, and their children all slept on at night. And I felt angry at this Islam. I couldn't understand, why would people fast? Why would any deity make people go hungry who were already hungry? And I said to this mother of Rafah refugee camp, why do you fast in Ramadan? What is the point? You say your God makes you do without food for 30 days, but on day 31 you have no food. You say your God makes you thirsty for 30 days, but on day 31 you only have dirty water or no water. What's the point? Why do you fast? And this mother looked at me and she said, well, I fast in Ramadan to remember the poor. She had nothing, and I couldn't understand it. How can she be fasting for other people? How could she remember other people's poverty when she had nothing? And at that moment, a thought came into my mind, if this is Islam, I want to be Muslim. If this love of God is in a religion, I want to be in that religion. If this love for your fellow human being, even at your moment of hardship, if this is a religion, I want to be in that religion. And if this love for the visitor and for the traveler is a religion, then let me be a Muslim, subhanallah. But it took 2 years for me to take my shahada. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how long it takes for us to be humbled and for our hearts to be cleansed of some of the things that we have in them.